So Dak Prescott spoke and met with the media yesterday morning, and there were a couple of pertinent topics that people wanted to get to.
I'd say so. I'd say that those were two of the bigger questions people around the Cowboys have right now would be, hey, what was up with that boot that you were wearing? And what's the deal with your contract situation? And this was one where he didn't. I think it's a great indication that there will be no hold-in or hold-out or anything else for those who wondered about that with Dak, which I don't think anybody ever felt like it really was. It's a great example of why he's not going to have that same issue, is because he's not saying like CeeDee Lamb, I'm not going to talk about that. We're not doing that.
Right. So he did speak on the contract. Here's what he had to say about the current state of the contract negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, there's been conversations back and forth, but for the most part, for me, as y'all know, I've been letting my agent do that, especially as we get right here into training camp. Day one of training camp, my mind flips to just obviously helping my team and just doing everything I can within the organization and on the football field to make sure that I'm my best and everyone around me is their best, and the money and all that will take care of itself as it always has.
All right, so two things. One, that there has been conversations.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And two, the statement, the money will take care of itself. Was it an indication that, A, he's not worried. He's going to get his money either way.
Mm-hmm.
His money is his money. Like, what he gets is what he's going to get. Like, that's, whether it's here or somewhere else, the money is the money. Like, there's a dollar amount on his services, and that's what it's going to take.
Right.
And then the other one is that they've talked. This didn't seem like a contentious clip to me.
No, there was much more. It was a much chillier clip. It was a much chillier clip about a month ago when he was talking. And he said, look, whether it's here or somewhere else, and whenever he's been asked about contract negotiations, he'll say, yeah, not much, but I let, my agents handle that. And that's what we let happen. This one felt much more optimistic. It was still ultimately the political non-answer from Dak. But I think you can infer certain things from it. He said there have been discussions. That's progress right there. It's the Jerry drop. That's improvement. And then the other aspect of that is, I think when he says the money's going to take care of itself, I don't think it's meant to intimidate, or threaten, but it's a reality where he's saying that money is going to be there. It's just it will take care of itself in terms of who's going to give it to me. But the money's going to be there. I will get the money for my services. It'll put me where I'm going to be among the quarterback rankings. But whether it's from Dallas or not, that remains to be seen. But the money itself will be taken care of. It's just a matter of where's it coming from.
Yeah, Broadus is at the point now where he thinks it's more likely than not that Dak doesn't get the contract here with the Cowboys. Are you guys in a similar spot? Yeah, he's like, he was at 50-50, and now I think he's like 60-40. Dak's gone.
Man.
I think it's a coin flip.
Well,
I think it's a coin flip if you're calling the side that it was up. Maybe it leans 50.8%.
What do the Cowboys think it is?
I don't know. Because I think that they've hit a period where I think they felt like for a long time they were going to be able to lean on, he wants to be a Cowboy. He loves being a Cowboy. And so ultimately he will blink. And so I think they felt like they had that little bit of wiggle room. And I think they've, in the last couple months, started to hit the reality of he doesn't feel like he needs us.
He's not blinking.
He doesn't feel like he needs us the same way.
I'll tell you this. If the Cowboys, I am not at 50-50. I am at like 85% that he returns, 90%.
Okay.
Which is up from where you were earlier this spring. Earlier this spring, I think you said 70-30.
No, I have no idea.
No, but I mean,
I don't listen to a word I say.
Archer, I think Archer and Machota both, when we've asked him during this offseason, have both said he's back, but it was a slight one. It was like 55-45, 60-40. So
right, if I was in the Cowboys front office and I had him coming back at less than 60%, I am 1,000% trading him right now.
You can't. No trade clause.
He'll agree to get a trade, would he not?
Why?
Yeah, well, you would have done that. You would have done that much earlier.
I would have done that earlier, but like but they may not have been the realization earlier.
But if things go sideways, if things have gotten so bad that he's not going to return in Dallas, why would he be in the mood for doing them any favors? He's like, no, I'll wait it out. I'll go get my money somewhere else, and you can get a third-round comp pick.
I mean, I suppose he could, play that, but I would assume he would want to get to that next location faster and choose. They could work out a deal.
Where does he want to go?
Yeah.
Does he want to sign does he want to sign with the Giants, for instance? That's one theory that Broadus has put out there. And I think Nick Wright has said the same. Belichick and Dak to the Giants next year. Let's say he wants to go to the Giants. Does he want to facilitate a trade and go, oh, yeah, let me give the Cowboys more capital and take resources from the team I'm going to? Like, does he want to go to a team and take resources from them?
Look, that's just the way sports are now. I mean, we know this. I mean, guys work their way to get out of places all the time.
Sure, but he just has to play a waiting game. He just sits around for 6 months and then he's done.
I mean, he could do that. I would think you would want to get to your next location.
He very well could.
And get your bag quicker.
He very well could do that. I'm just saying, I look at it and I go, I think if it got to that point, he wouldn't be in the mood for doing favors.
Because he's currently coming off of a second-place MVP finish. Whereas at the end of this year, it might be 7th place, 10th place. He might have a down. You never know.
Yeah, but I think Kirk Cousins just showed that it doesn't matter. He's older, off an injury. He was playing well before the injury for sure, right, but he still went and got plenty of money.
But he didn't get $60 million.
Right, but I think Dak, who's much younger and likely not going to be coming off an Achilles injury, is still going to be set to make as much as he could.
We really have not seen this scenario play out where a quarterback like Dak can just go to the open market and negotiate. It's not so, and I mean, even so, like Lawrence got paid just now. There's no reasonable way right now, if you look at the totality of Lawrence's career, that you can say if Lawrence gets a certain amount, like Dak's going to go above that. Like you have to look at it that way with the way that Lawrence has performed so far. So to me, I think that he wouldn't be wanting to necessarily do any favors. And ultimately the Cowboys would have to just say, we're going to get a comp pick for this. And what if he does want to go to the Giants? Do the Cowboys want to facilitate that? Do they want to be the one to, does Jerry want to say, I traded our quarterback to the Giants and potentially let him go win a Super Bowl within the division?
No.
Potentially. Not that he would. I'm just saying, does he want to open up that possibility and that sort of criticism? I don't know that he does.
No, that's off the table.
I don't think so.
It's the trade stuff that ship has sailed at this point, and now we see, will they get a deal done in camp? If not, then it probably goes into next offseason, and that's where it becomes a really fun discussion on what does Dak want to do, how much more money are teams willing to give. There might be teams sitting around going, we'll give him 65 right now. We don't even care. We're so desperate for a guy that could just maybe get us to the playoffs.
Yeah, and look, I know there are going to be people on the fan text, the Frankel and Frankel injury attorneys fan text, 877-881-1053, who are going to say, let him walk. That's fine. Have that position. He shouldn't get that money. Fine for you to have that belief. If you are trying to say he's not going to get it, you are not dealing in reality.
Yeah, he's going to get it, and that's why, like, if the Cowboys think that he is at a 50-50, I mean, they need to approach the
they can, yeah. If they feel that way, then they can at least bring it up. I just don't know that he would be willing to.
Maybe not.
But I mean, we'll see. Did you guys see what Amon-Ra St. Brown had to say on the Pivot podcast?
Did not see this.
Okay, this is your guy. You love Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I do. I think he's great.
You love the whole Detroit culture. So
I do. I love Man Campbell.
So
yes.
Amon-Ra St. Brown went on the Pivot podcast and was talking about the game against the Cowboys at the end of last year. The one with the very famous 2-point conversion is good. No, it's not. Oh, now there's a penalty and all that wildness. That was not what he took away from that game. That was not the thing that really stood out in Amon-Ra St. Brown's mind from the game against the Cowboys. Instead, it was the vicious trash talk he was hearing from one particular player in the Cowboys secondary.
Jordan Lewis, I think, is his name, from the Cowboys. Yeah. I don't talk much unless someone's going to talk to me. You know, I block hard. I do all that. But he was talking crazy, like some shit I've never heard before. I'm like, yo, hold on. Like, I'm going to have to go hard on this. Like, he was talking crazy out of pocket. Even J-Mo heard it too. He was coming in. At that point, it's like, I don't know what he's saying. I'm trying to make plays, win the game. I'm not worried about him. But once he starts talking like that, it's if I do get a chance to kill him, I'm going to kill him.
Goodness.
Wow.
So Amon-Ra St. Brown getting a little worked up there talking about Jordan Lewis. Couple things here. First off, Jordan Lewis posted this clip on his Instagram story and then he said, it's only for y'all for real, with a smiley face. And then he followed up with another post. He said, I'm passionate about my craft and I don't want to be friends with everyone, especially a Detroit Lion not from Detroit. Because Jordan Lewis,
from Michigan,
born and raised Detroit native, went to Cass Tech, was a 2-time state champion at Cass Tech, went to Michigan, was an All-American at Michigan, still goes back to Detroit every year and puts on youth football camps during the summer. And so he is Detroit through and through. I don't know that this is a great look for Amon-Ra St. Brown to pretend like he doesn't know who Jordan Lewis is. I don't think there's any way he doesn't know who Jordan Lewis is. I understand, like, if you want to talk about...
Yeah, because these football players, they talk in everybody in numbers.
They do, but Jordan Lewis was one of the bigger, like, again, he was an All-American at Michigan when Amon-Ra St. Brown would have been coming into the college football community and would have had an awareness of guys across the country who were playing. Like, it's different when you get to the NFL where you're just learning by numbers and everything else. But, again, this is Detroit native. This is people in that city. Lions fans know very well who Jordan Lewis is. He was a high school hero to a lot of people there. He played receiver, corner, kick returner, and was dominant on all sides of it. So this to me is just, it's a bad look for the Detroit receiver to act like he doesn't know who somebody is that is not only an NFL opponent that you're going across from who you would think you would know, but also just somebody that your own community there knows and likes, even though he is a Cowboy because he's a hometown kid. So I think that's a bad look, and I think Jordan Lewis ultimately, it worked, clearly, because Amon-Ra St. Brown was talking about it's the craziest stuff I ever heard. But, you know, I didn't even hear it. I was focusing, but he thought about it enough to bring it up, sitting down with Ryan Clark and them. So,
it's the craziest thing I ever heard, but I didn't hear it.
I wonder how crazy it could get. What could
I know.
he say?
I'm like, now I'm having to take notes on when we get to training camp. We got to figure out what Jordan Lewis has in his, like, what depth do you go into here, Jordan Lewis, by way of trash talk and psyching yourself up and trying to bring your opponent down. Like, I love it. I love the, like, getting into the weeds on the trash talk and the psychological stuff between these dudes. I want to know who is the trash talk king.
He had 6 for 90 in the game and a touchdown.
St. Brown did?
Yeah.
That's an awesome game.
He also had Jordan had a pick that game, though.
Jordan had a diving pick, right? It was the diving. I don't know if it was on Amon-Ra or I don't know if he was on St. Brown at the time.
I don't know. I just remember he had a pick in that game. But it does. I mean, whoever gets him in training camp, if one of the shows is getting Jordan Lewis on the air, it needs to be asked. And if he doesn't say on the air, then as soon as the mics get put down, it's like, all right, so what did you really say? Just tell me one thing you said. Like tap into it real quick. I just got to know what got in his head and Jameson Williams' head. Alabama, Mr. SEC, Mr. Aggressive, that they're both going, what the hell is he saying to us right now?
Yeah, just like secret savage Jordan Lewis. He's been here for forever, and we didn't know this about him.
8 Mile stuff like Detroit.
Yeah, he was channeling his Slim Shady.
Amon-Ra went to Cranbrook.
Dude, this is it's perfect because Eminem's got his album coming out this week, doesn't he?
He does.
It's right on cue.